This is in reaction to the current position of IEBC commissioners. We will cover the challenges and how it will affect the future and trust of Kenyans. Most of the comments should be put into consideration in future endeavors since they may have been overtaken by event. From the word go, I want to reinstate that I have been an election official in all regions except Northeastern Province and Eastern Province. But if you include conducting elections as a security officer, then I have covered all except Eastern region. So I'm knowledgeable about election matters. The long delay in having new commissioners was used as a hope by both sides, in hope that they buy time and also have an excuse should they lose in the next elections. Both sides of the political divide wanted the selection of IEBC commissioners to take as long as possible so that should they lose, obviously one side will lose, but whichever side will lose will use that delay in selecting commissioners as an excuse of why they lost the elections. All of them, what I mean, all the commissioners, their term ends at the same time. Their term ends in 2031. Concern has always been raised that all commissioners join and leave at the same time. Somehow, this thing was solved. It was solved in the last commission, but due to the divide that necessitated for the Cherera 4, we reverted back to the previous way where all commissioners are chosen at the same time and they leave the office at the same time. I hope one day in future, we will have a similar situation where for the 6 years that a commissioner serves, each year we have one commissioner existing and another one enters. Since one is elected for 6 years and there are 6 commissioners, it is my prayer that one day we have a situation where every year one commissioner exits and one commissioner enters. Another issue that I'm not comfortable with is the speed with which the commissioners were gazetted and then sworn in. Those of my age can remember the book, is it Arrow of God or something? The book talks about a local medicine man who had been detained by the colonial government in West Africa. And when he was released, the tradition had it that he had a number of holy yams. He had a number of holy yams, which he used to eat one holy yam per day. One holy yam per day. And then when he had eaten the last one, he would tell the people that they can now start farming. But then he had been arrested by the colonial government, by the Nigerian colonial government, and that when he was released, there was a divided opinion among people. There are those people who felt that since the days he was supposed to be eating the holy yam one per day had gone, he should take the 30 or so yams and eat them at once and then tell people to. But he was insisting that he continues eating a yam per day, but until he finishes. And others were telling him, but by then the weather would have not have allowed, because the rainy season would have gone. And he told them that the gods are not like you and me, who would want to eat to have their stomachs full. The gods eat one yam per day, and we have to do that per whatever. What I mean here is that there was a delay in the procedure, and some people are telling him to hasten up the procedure before the rains end. And he was saying no, he'll take the age-old system of eating a yam a day. This could also be equated to today, whereby the commission is now in place. Do they take we have a procedure where for them to do A, B, C, D, they have to do A, then B and C. Then the question is, do they do all A, B, C, D together? Because 2027 is approaching. That is something that we have to consider as we go about. The judgment, the final judgment for the selection of this IEBC, the gazettement of the commissioners and the swearing in of the commissioners was done within 12 hours. Yes, we are late. It's just like the story of the yam there. But I think it is not good for the optics for a case to be completed. The government printed to print the Gazette the special edition of the Gazette at night, and in the following morning, we find ourselves that in the following morning we find the commissioners being sworn in. What's more, each had a well-prepared speech. That is not good. I think two wrongs don't make a right, and since two wrongs don't make a right, it is also not good. I mean, it is not good to delay the situation, but it is also not good to hasten up just because we are delayed. Now, when we come to the commissioners, their first duty is to address issues of the by-elections. Some of the constituencies have up to 2 years without representatives. That one, they have to do it pronto. But as they do it quickly, I would also appeal to them that they do not hasten it so quickly. Because, in Kenya, you'd even find somebody tomorrow going to court to stop the by-elections. The problem with the new constitution, to me, are two. The two greatest problems in the 2010 constitutions are two. One, the 2010 constitution allowed the human rights people to dominate the constitution. They dominated more than their fair share. That one I'm not comfortable with. The other thing that the new constitution brought that I'm not comfortable with is this issue of going to court. Anything very, very little, somebody has rushed to court. Injunction, injunction, injunction. That one makes me not comfortable with the new constitution. There are other issues, but those are the two major ones that I see. Then there is the issue of boundary review. The much delays we have been having, has brought the issue of boundary review very much close to the next election. This is a very risky issue. To me, it is impossible to follow all the procedures undertaken in time before 2027 general election. Do we go into the 2027 general election with the current constituencies, or do we review it and push ahead for the matters of the boundary review into 2028? Both options are risky. Both the option of hastening to create new constituencies is risky, and also the issue of setting aside issues of boundary review until after the next elections is also risky. But the bad thing about it is that we will have to take one of the two. We don't have a third option. In my view, we are headed into 2027 general elections without the boundary review. I foresee the boundary review being done around 2028 and thereby set a hot second term where a new set of leaders with a new fight for the new constituencies and Ruto's inheritance. If Ruto is re-elected, from the day he will be sworn in, attention will move away from him. All attention will be, people will now be preparing themselves for the 2032 general election, presidential inheritance. This is what brought about problems in the last government, because Ruto's interest and Uhuru's interest collided. Or is it separated? Uhuru wanted Ruto to spend time with him fulfilling the election mandate. But Ruto felt that if he spends a lot of time with Uhuru, he will not have time to campaign. So Ruto campaigned full time and Uhuru spent a lot of time running the government alone. Let me say so. What I mean is that at that time, even some people even suggested that in future, if you are a running mate to somebody, then you lose. Like somebody was suggesting that just like Ruto was Uhuru's running mate in 2 consecutive elections, then Ruto should be blocked from 2022 elections. I foresee a situation where after Ruto is re-elected in 2027, a lot of attention will be on who will now contest. Their campaigns for 2032 presidential will start immediately. So the people will start campaigning. Anybody wanting to be the president will try to fight to have his or her area house more constituencies. And if your area has more constituencies and more new constituencies, you can always go around to your people and tell them, you see, I am the one who made you. I am the one who influenced for the creation of new constituencies in our place. Remember, new constituencies are also good because when it comes to passing matters, the cases we have cases where you may want to have your bills to be passed. Then there is also the case of impeachment and so on. That is why people will also fight to have new constituencies in the areas friendly to them. The new IEBC will have to clean the voters register. For the 2 years, voters have been dying. So they have to find out who are the voters who have died so that they remove their names from the register. And then there are those new Kenyans. There are those Kenyans who are not in the voters register. Some may now be interested in voting. Others, over 90%, would be Kenyans who, over 90% of the Kenyans would be Kenyans who have come of age. They have come of age. Now they will want to register as voters. So they have to get out those that are not, those who have died, and include the new voters. There are electors who have moved from one polling station to another. So they have also to address the issue of change of voters' place from one polling station to another, especially if the polling station is outside the constituency or the ward. The commission has to, in conjunction with other relevant departments, look into the population while demarcating the boundaries. We have the geographic, I'm not remembering the name of that geographic or whatever. There is the government department that has all the maps and whatever. They have to look at that. And then they also have to look at the tribal tents. They have to look at the tribal tents. What I mean is that I'll give an example of Kasipul Kabondo. You find that they may take, in this constituency, it has people for, there are two constituencies, and the two constituencies have generally the same number of people. But you find in Kasipul, 90% are Kasipul people, and in Kabondo, 90% are Kabondo people. So at times, it is agreeable that you take the 10% Kasipul who are in Kabondo, take them to Kabondo, and vice versa. So that in this constituency, we just have only Kabondos and we have Kasipul. Somebody may try to tell me that this is tribal. But in Kenya today, if you come from, you can look at the case of Reverend Musimi. Musimi is a Mukamba, but in Mbere place. So if he wants to be the governor of that place, it would be a bit harder for him unless he crosses the river and goes to Shekuru to be the governor of Kitui. It may be tribal, but then it is also good to look at it from a realistic point of view. The commission also have got to address the issue of the disappearing constituencies. It has got to also to look into into issues of disappearing constituencies. There is a question of Lamu, where there are two constituencies in the county, but each of the constituencies has population that is less than the national average. There is a way they calculate. A formula, and even with that formula, Lamu is found to have very fewer people in the constituency than is required. There is a need to have, or the whole of Lamu to have only one member of parliament. This is a challenge, especially to this lady commissioner who comes from Lamu. It is a challenge because if Lamu disappears, if the two Lamus become one constituency, Lamu East and Lamu West become one constituency, people from Lamu will blame her for having had the constituency disappear during her tenure. At the same time, if the constituency is retained, people will blame her for going to an extra level to try and retain that. We have also the question of Daragwa and Othaya constituencies generally. There is a problem. Well, if I say I'm a Kikuyu, I'm not saying I'm a Kikuyu because of the hashtag that is going on. But I have roots in Madeira. And we have a problem in Nyeri County. That is why you find that for a long time, there has been need to divide Madeira into two. That is why in one constituency in Madeira, we have two sub-counties. We have Madeira East and we have Madeira West sub-counties, but they are both in Madeira constituency. There is need to divide them into two. That is one. And again, we have Kieni. We have Kieni, whereby Naromuro should be a constituency, and I'm forgetting this place behind. There is this place behind Nyeri. It is supposed to. It starts with an M. Sorry, Kieni should be divided into two constituencies, because for somebody to come all the way, pass through Nyeri town, and then go all the way to It borders it borders this what do you call Laikipia, and it also borders Nyandarua. It is a very large constituency. It should so Nyeri needs two new constituencies. That is Kieni to be divided into two, and then Madera to be divided into two. But then you find that there is a problem. Why should they do that when Othaya doesn't cut the bill? Then the question somebody may ask me, why is it that Othaya has been there forever and yet you see Othaya has been represented by a very senior person in the government. So any thoughts of delimiting it has always been a problem. It would be a direct affront to the senior person who today, Baba Jimmy, it would be an affront to Baba Jimmy. So I think people from Daragwa and people from Othaya, I understand the issue of Lamu, but people from Daragwa and people from Othaya should understand that they should not have a constituency whose size and population is a quarter of a place like Kieni. Is it Kieni? But I'm talking of Naromuro constituency. Correct me in the comment section if you find that I'm wrong. So this thing has always happened. It happened once. It happened in Nyanza. There was a time when, is it Nyakach or Nyando? I think one of the two. There's a time it was eradicated and then again it was brought back. So you just accept. There's no need of having a constituency which is a quarter in size and to a constituency like Madera or even Narumuro. Let me call it Narumuro because I'm kind of forgetting the name of the other constituency. The current secretariat may not be there for a long time. The current IEBC secretariat may not be there for a long time. The commission has to address the issue about replacement of that secretariat. The commission has also to address both the tension between the secretariat and the commissioners, plus prepare for a new set of secretariat, since this one definitely would not last long. When I talk about tension between that, you remember Chebukati and his CEO had a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems, even though they came from the same county. Questions have been raised about the vice chair. About the chair. The questions have been raised about the chairman, about his suitability and his relationship. I will repeat that one again. Questions have been raised with the chair, his suitability, his relationship with a senior State House official, etc., etc. First and foremost, getting a referee to officiate a Premier League who is not affiliated to any group is impossible, to say the least. We should be grateful that a member of a small tribe and a marginalized tribe is heading an important body. There is the question of who is to be the vice chair. The question of who is to be the vice chair. By practice, it has always been that the vice chair should be a member of the other gender. And since the chair is male, then the vice chair should be a female. From the days of ECK, it was for the commissioners to elect one of them to be the vice chair. ECK, Electoral Commission of Kenya, used to elect a lawyer as the vice chair. That is why the first vice chair was Mwadhani Mbaka, a lawyer. The second was Kirai, what is Paul Kivutu. Yeah, the second one was Kivutu. Kivutu later became the chairman. But I'm saying that the first vice chair was Mwadhani Mbaka. The second one was Kivutu. The third one was Gabriel Mukele, and so on and so on. You can see they were lawyers. They were lawyers. And in fact, apart from, I mean, that is why during those days, the vice chair being a lawyer used to make it possible for President Moi to elect the vice chair. Once the chair has completed his term, the vice chair would be easier to be made the chair. But then you can see that from the ECK, all the vice chairmen were men. But a practice has come where it is the person of the other gender. I have endorsed and I will still endorse 2 ladies to the position of the vice chair. I still endorse 2 ladies. One is Anne Derito and the other one is Mary Karen Sorobit. Now, each of them has a challenge. Each one of them has a challenge. Because if we have to say the truth, the most suitable person is Mary Karen Sorobit. She is a lawyer. And as I said, it is always good to have a lawyer as the vice. But Kenya being the way Kenya is, you find that people will start complaining that she is from Eldoret, which is the Uasin Gishu County, which is a home county of William Samoei Ruto. But don't we have, you see, the chairman is related to a State House official. Now the vice chair is, people complain a lot. And let me tell you, that kind of complaining may be counterproductive. Why am I saying it may be counterproductive? Now, if she is taken to be the vice chair, and people from opposition start saying, oh, the chairman is related to State House controller, the vice chair, she's from the home region of the president. Now they will rig the elections for Ruto. You know, when you talk that publicly, you will make your supporters, people who detest Ruto, refuse to go to vote. They'll refuse to go out to vote, and the people who like Ruto will all vote. And you'll say, you see, that is what we say. So there is that reverse psychology that people should not have. After all, are we not all related to each other? We are all descendants of Adam and Eve. There is another person I'm endorsing is Anne Derito. She has the public exposure. She has the public knowing of things. But the only thing that is, she's not a lawyer, because I prefer a lawyer being there. But the two, they stand another chance. And then we can always complain that the government is run by 2 tribes, isn't it? I would also want to add that we should utilize the commissioner called Alutalala Mukhwana. Alutalala Mukhwana should, the chairman should utilize him most when it comes to disseminating information to the public. Why am I saying so? I'm not saying so because of JI-TENGE, Mukhwana, I'm saying so because one thing, he is somebody who has a public opinion where people trust him, and he has, over the time, he has built a character where when he talks, people listen. I think the Electoral Commission should utilize him in a matter of when it comes to addressing issue and elaborating things, especially with his Swahili. He has a very, very good Swahili. And also the combination of the commission, to my opinion, is very good because it has put into consideration people of various professions, where each profession can assist the whole commission.